Hello everyone, today we are going to be creating a crucifixion piece, resurrection element of Easter when Jesus is on the cross. Today I have a piece of mixed media paper. You can use this for watercolor. It is really nice to use when you're using watercolors, acrylics, any type of mixed media, pencil, marker, Sharpie, any of those things. So what we need today is we need that piece of paper. I would suggest doing it on a piece of paper, not a canvas to start with. I'm going to use watercolors today. I have my pencil and eraser, and I have my Sharpie markers, my black Sharpie markers along with some colored ones, but I'm probably just going to be using the black ones today. Also, you'll need a little cup of water and your favorite paintbrush. So we are going to start. I have a quick little sketch that I made on the back of another piece of paper, but here's the sketch. So what we're going to do is we are going to create 3 hills, and they can overlap each other. They don't have to be so separate like this one. And then we are going to draw our cross, and using simple shapes we're going to create Jesus, and then on either side of those hills we're going to be putting 2 other crosses. Alright, so first things first, we want to go ahead and let's make our hills. Instead of doing what you just saw, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more simplified, and I'm going to make one hill that goes straight across the bottom, kind of like this. Again, if I make extra lines, we can always erase them, no problem. And then I want to do 2 more hills, one on the right side, and I think I'm going to do one on the left, kind of coming behind that. So it looks like we have maybe hills here. We're creating some dimension and depth in our art piece today. So first thing, 1 hill, 2 hill, 3 hills. I have 3 hills, 1 for each of my crosses. As we move forward, we'll be making crosses on all the hills. We'll have a small one here and a small one there. And as things move in our line of sight, they get smaller. So the further away, the smaller they are. Okay? So let's go ahead and start with the main cross where we will see Jesus. And so we're just going to go ahead and we want to make sure that the cross that we're making is kind of thin. We don't want it to be super wide. And if you feel like a ruler would be something that you could use and would make you feel more confident, go ahead and do that. I don't typically use a ruler to draw things, but I can do that today to maybe guide you a little bit better. So just a ruler here. So I have a line, and then I want to make my cross here, so I'm just going to go ahead. Let's see, that's a little bit low. Again, why I just eyeball it, but I think I'm going to go above that. That would be better. Let's go right around here. Just knock that. Just a simple cross right here. I'm not really a fan of rulers, especially when I'm drawing at an angle. It's a little bit more challenging because the ruler falls down, and then there you go. So I have my simple cross here. Just going to draw a simple cross back over here, and a cross again looks like a lowercase t. And this one's further away than this hill, so I could make this one a little bit bigger if I wanted to, which I do, so I'm going to. All right, so I have my 3 crosses, and then I want to think about how thick I'm going to make my cross here. And remember, we're going to be using Sharpie for this. This is actually a silhouette piece. So a silhouette is like a shadow. So we're going to be putting everything that you see here that we're drawing currently, we're going to be putting it all in dark color. So this will be all Sharpie. You could actually do that with the hills too. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I'll play around with it. You could add some color. So once you have your cross done, you want to go ahead and put your rectangle up here, the top of the cross, which will also become blacked out a little bit with the Sharpie marker. And then we want to go ahead and draw the body. Now, when we're doing it, we're going to be using some shapes and angles. And the first thing we want to do is we want to come right underneath where I'm going to have the arms, where Jesus' arms would be. I want to come underneath that, and I'm going to make an oval, and it's going to be pointed more towards the left side. And I'm just going to lightly sketch it. Because I can always erase it, right? So it's kind of at an angle. Almost looks like maybe an upside down Easter egg. So I have my circle here. And then I want to think about where my arms are going to go. I'm just going to draw a simple straight line from both sides, but I will add depth to the body later. So one line up to the cross, and the other arm up to the other side of the cross. And since our head is leaning towards the left-hand side, I'm going to create kind of like long, I would say more like stretched out almond shapes. So we get kind of the angle of the muscle in the body. Again, we're going to do that here so we can come underneath the arm and kind of create like these long stretched out almond shapes. It kind of looks like if you've ever seen one of those wood dolls, mannequins that you can pick up like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. They kind of help you learn how to draw the human form. Kind of looks like that. So once we have these two pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and just show you really quickly closer. So I have these long stretched out oval bits that will become the arms, and our head is facing more down here, so we have more of our arm and shoulder exposed on the right side than we do here on the left side. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move this really quick so I can bring it a little bit closer so you can see the body shape. All right, so now we're going to do kind of like a triangle, but it's more of a rounded triangle. This is our shoulder right here. We have more of a shoulder, and we want to come down underneath where like an armpit would be. We're going to have more on this side because our body is leaning to one side. We're going to kind of make like almost like a triangle. So you can bring that triangle down. And again, we're just sketching, so it doesn't have to be exact. So we're bringing down that triangle shape. And then I'm going to spread this out a little bit, give us a waist. And now you'll see why we wanted to have our cross somewhat lean and narrow so we can capture the shape of the body. So this is our chest, this is like our stomach, like the upper part of our stomach, and then we want to create that garb that Jesus was wearing around his waist. So we can come out and add that element here. And you can just sketch this. You can always erase it. And I'm going to fill that in after I get my legs, because that's what I really want to focus on at this time, is my leg shape. Now my leg shape is going to be a lot like my arm shape, thinking about how our thighs and our calves come together. We're going to bring down the leg, like part of our leg right here, like a curve, two parenthesis shapes. There. And then the more calf muscle, which is going to be shorter than this, we want to come out just a little bit and add just a little bit more of that curve. So two more smaller parentheses. And then the feet are kind of like a squish triangle. I put the triangle up here, and I bring my feet down here. So it's like the feet, but you'll be able to see it a little bit more in the finished piece. So, and I can bring down my cross right here. You saw me doing that. I'm just pulling down the cross a little bit, depending on where I want that to be placed in the piece. So let's go over the shape again. We did an oval, kind of looks like an egg. It's leaning more towards the left, my left. Then I did straight arms that went up to the edges of the cross and did these kinds of shapes. So the kinds of shapes for the arms look like I said, they kind of look like squished almonds, maybe like beads. And then as we're moving our arm up, we can also create like a little elbow here. That becomes like the bicep and the forearm. Let me make sure you can see that okay. So we have the bicep and the forearm right here. And so the same thing with the legs. Our legs, this would be the thighs coming in like parentheses, and this would be the calves, and then again my feet down here kind of like that. All right, so I have my base set, and you can stop this video and go back and watch me color it in with Sharpie. And if you're having troubles understanding the shape and the just like the length of the body and just making sure everything's kind of what a human body would look like, take your time. It's not something that you have to do in 20 minutes. You can spend lots of time getting the right shape and form, so you have a beautiful piece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start going over the pieces I want to keep with my Sharpie here. And I'm not really overthinking anything at this point. I'm just bringing up my spaces here. And if something doesn't look right, I can always adjust it later with my Sharpie. Here's that kind of like garb that Jesus is wearing at this time. Kind of have it coming out of the side right there. The body is completely covering the cross. So we have the idea that we are seeing Jesus on the cross here. Then I'm just going to go over my other part of my cross elements here. And as long as I'm using the Sharpie, it doesn't matter if I like go over the head or the body or the arms, because it's all going to be colored in black anyway. I'm going to go ahead and pull that foot out a little bit more, round it out, and bring down that cross. We're going to go ahead and just color over the pencil. I'm not even going to erase it. I'm just going to color over the pencil. Make sure you have a nice fresh Sharpie for this. You want to have that nice chiseled tip on the Sharpie. That makes it really nice when you're doing a really special project. And then you can always erase on top of the Sharpie after the Sharpie's dried. So if you have any extra elements of pencil that you don't want to keep, you can always do that. Add that eraser mark. And you want to make sure, since this is a silhouette piece, that you get in all of the little white lines. You don't want any white showing through your black elements. Now we will add a crown of thorns that will also be silhouette inspired, but we're going to do that after we color in Jesus here. And go ahead and make those adjustments to your Sharpie coloring after you've colored it in. You'll see if you need to add something, if something doesn't look right, as you're coloring it in. You'll have to step back and look at it. So you can see now everything's kind of taking shape. Make sure to fill in all those little white bits. I'm just going to add some more body shape here with the legs and come all the way down to the feet. And as I am finishing this, I'm going to step back and kind of take a peek at it and see if I want to do any adjustments here. Let's see. I want to come up here a little bit. Have more of that arm space. And once you like the way it looks, you can go ahead and do your crown of thorns. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to do a slight line over the head, like this. And you want to just do a bunch of tiny X's. And it'll just like pop out. I'll erase any of the extra lines that I don't like here. So this art project is great for all ages because everyone has the ability to do this and everybody will do it a little bit differently. So now that I have the base image of Jesus on this cross here, I am going to go ahead and do the outline of my hills. Now, I didn't know if I wanted to go ahead and use this as a silhouette to these hills, but I don't think I'm going to. I really want the focus to be on Jesus here, and I feel like if this was black, it would just kind of drown him out, and we really want to focus on that. So we'll just go ahead and paint in that color, and that way we give the attention where it is due. So remember, the further things are away from us, the smaller they are. The closer is the bigger they are. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here and do my hill right here. Coming through. And then we want to do one more hill. So now I have my 3 hills. I could potentially color these in black, but I think I'm going to paint them anyway. And now what I want to do is I want to take a side step and use my eraser. I'm going to just kind of erase the elements behind the hills and anything around Jesus that I don't really like, that I put those pencil marks in. Just kind of clean it up a little bit, give it a nice eraser bath. Clean that up a little bit. And then I get to paint my piece. Now, one thing we can do is we can also, let me see if I have a crayon here. I have red, but I don't have white. If I had a white crayon here, I would do a watercolor crayon resist element, but I do have an orange, so I think I might do that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now you can choose any colors you want. Depending on the colors you choose, it kind of tells you how warm everything is. So if you're using blues and purples, it's going to be cooler and colder. If you're going to use yellows and oranges and reds, it's going to be warmer and hot colors. I am going to go ahead and take this yellow crayon that I have, and this is a wax-based crayon, and I'm going to create kind of like a sunset right behind Jesus. Really going to highlight him here. So it looks like another hill, but it's not. And what I'm doing is I'm going to use a really nice strong hand to go around my body here, because when I use the watercolor, it's going to pop behind the watercolor. And I'm going to do a gradient sky, so I'm probably going to start with a yellow and then move up to an orange and then potentially a red, so it gets hotter as the sky gets, as it moves up the page. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. So this is my sunrise, could be sunset. Sunset could also be orange, and then you could actually add like the purples and the blue if you wanted to, but really just depends on what colors you like. So you can do this any color you want. You could actually even color these in with crayon if you wanted to, and then paint the rest. So really have fun with this and try different elements. When you're using watercolors and crayons, the watercolor is repelled by the crayon because it's wax based. So if you're using different types of crayons, it might not work as well. So just make sure you're using wax based crayons, and then it will resist that. It sometimes works with oil pastels, but depending on the makeup of the oil pastel, it doesn't always work. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and paint in my background now. And I want it to be really hot colors, bright colors, so I'm going to be using probably these yellows and these oranges and even maybe some of this pink. And then I'll probably do the hills different colors too. So again, I'm just using a simple paintbrush here. It's not very big, it's not very wide, so just like this. And because I'm painting at an angle, remember, it will drip if I'm being a little bit too careless. So I don't want to be too careless. And I don't really have to worry about anything coming over my black elements. The watercolor will not affect it at all. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some yellow here. And remember, when you're using watercolor, you want to make sure that if you want a lot of color, that you use less water. You want less color, you want more water. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of create a hill shape here over. I'm going to go actually over the whole cross here, get that nice arch shape. And it just goes right over that Sharpie so nicely. And it doesn't affect the work that you did, so it's really nice. And you can come right up to your hill. You can go right over that, paint right over it with that watercolor, and it doesn't change your sun at all. So that's where the watercolor crayon resist comes in. I'm going to move on to an orange now, and I'm going to bring it right to the top of that arch that I made. And when I'm blending, I'm going to go up above the color, nice long strokes, and then I'm going to come back down into that yellow that I had. So I'm blending. Okay, I'm going to show you that again. So I come up to the edge right here with my color. I'm going to pull it up, go up, right? And then I'm going to bring it down into that yellow. And that's how I blend my sky. I'm going to move on to this other orange color I have here. This is one of my favorite watercolor sets. Ironically, it is for children, but I absolutely love it. I think I'm on my third container. So again, go to the edge, bring it up, and then bring it back down. You can bring it back up, creating that nice blending, nice long strokes. So coming up. And I want to bring it back down. And if we have any drips, we just move it back and forth. Nice long strokes, no big deal. Last color in this round is going to be this pink that I have. And I think the rest is going to be pink. So again, a little bit of water. Rub that in your palette, get that nice vibrant color you want. I'm going to bring that pink down into my orange. I'm going to bring my paintbrush back up. I'd probably use a bigger paintbrush next time if I did this. This is kind of a narrow brush. Doesn't have a lot of body to it, so I'm not making as much coverage as I would typically like to make, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take my clip off here so you can kind of see that. And I think I'm going to go on to some blue here. I didn't think I was going to do that, but I'm going to just paint the rest blue up here at the top of my piece. This would also be a fun project to do with a group of people, like if you and maybe your grandparents wanted to do this together. One of you could do one element and the other of you could do another, so you could kind of make it a family project. So you all have an element to the art piece that you're creating. I am going to bring that blue and kind of move it down into the pink to kind of blend that out. So it's going to kind of turn a little bit purpley there. All right, so I have my background done. I've got Jesus drawn. I've got my sun with my crayon. And then the last element is I can either paint in other bits right here, like I could use 2 different colors of hills here. So I have a light green. Well, it's actually dark. It doesn't really show up that well on camera. Then I have more of a lime green. So I have a dark green and a lime green. And I just love how you can just paint over the Sharpie. It's so nice. And then for the last one, I might use like a brown maybe. Not quite sure. That's what I'll do. I'm going to go over it lightly. All right. So there you have it. You have a beautiful piece to celebrate the Easter season. Learn a little bit about the Crucifixion and have a lovely art piece to share with your family. I hope you enjoyed this art class. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.